There is a kind of wisdom that only comes through breaking. Not the kind you read in books, not the kind someone can teach you, the kind that carves itself into you, slowly, through experience you didn't ask for, through nights that felt endless, through losses that changed your shape, through pain that forced you to see what comfort had been hiding. Peace makes you content, but pain makes you wise. We live in a world that sells comfort as the highest achievement. Avoid discomfort, chase pleasure, eliminate stress, numb the hard feelings, scroll past anything that makes you think too deeply. The modern promise is simple. If you just optimize enough, buy enough, distract enough, you can live a life without friction, a life that feels smooth, safe, predictable. But here's what nobody tells you. That kind of life doesn't grow you, it preserves you. Like a flower pressed between pages, beautiful but lifeless. Peace without challenge creates the illusion of strength. You think you're resilient because nothing has tested you. You think you're wise because nothing has proven you wrong. You build a life in shallow water and convince yourself you know how to swim. Then something happens. A loss, a betrayal, a failure. A moment that shatters the carefully constructed ease. And suddenly you realize how unprepared you were, how fragile your peace actually was. Because it wasn't built on wisdom, it was built on avoidance. And avoidance always breaks when reality arrives. Pain does something peace can never do. It tells the truth. Not a gentle truth, not a comfortable truth, but a truth so clear, so undeniable, that it changes everything. Pain doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just shows up and strips away everything that isn't real. And what's left after the stripping is you. Unfiltered, raw, honest. That's where wisdom begins. The first thing pain teaches you is this. Most of what you believed about yourself was wrong. You thought you were patient until something tested your patience. You thought you were strong until something broke you. You thought you knew what mattered until something took it away. Peace lets you live in these comfortable stories about who you are, but pain reveals the gap between who you think you are and who you actually are. And that gap is where growth lives. Imagine walking through life wearing a mask. Not intentionally, you don't even realize it's there. The mask is made of all the things you tell yourself. I'm fine, I'm in control, I've got it figured out, I'm past that, I don't need anyone, I'm okay. The mask feels real because you've worn it so long, but it's still a mask, and peace lets you keep it on. Pain rips it off, not gently, not carefully, it just tears it away and forces you to see your face underneath. The fear you've been hiding, the anger you've been swallowing, the sadness you've been avoiding, the weakness you've been denying. At first, this feels like destruction, like you're falling apart, but you're not falling apart. You're finally seeing what was always there. And once you see it, you can work with it. You can heal it. You can grow from it. Pain removes the illusion that you're separate from your humanity, that you're above struggle, that you're immune to suffering. It brings you back to earth, back to yourself. And in that humbling return, you find something invaluable. Honesty. The kind of honesty that doesn't need to pretend anymore. The kind that looks at your flaws and doesn't run. The kind that says, yes, this is hard and I'm not okay. And that's the truth. And truth, even when it hurts, is always wiser than a beautiful lie. You also realize how much you've been lying to yourself about others. The people you thought were solid, the relationships you thought were real. Pain shows you who stays, who leaves, who is there for the good times but vanishes when things get difficult. It's brutal, but it's clarifying. Because once you see who someone really is, not who you wanted them to be, you stop wasting energy on illusions. You stop trying to force connection where there is none. You stop giving pieces of yourself to people who were never going to hold them carefully. This isn't about becoming cynical. It's about becoming discerning. Pain teaches you to see clearly. to trust actions over words, to value presence over promises. And that clarity protects you. It guides you toward relationships that are real, not just comfortable. The second thing pain teaches is something peace never could. It builds you. Not in the way you want it, not in the way that feels inspiring, but in the way that lasts. Pain forces you into the fire. And if you don't run, if you stay and let it refine you, you come out different, stronger. Not louder, not harder, but deeper. Think of a tree in a storm. The wind tears at its branches, the rain soaks its roots, the lightning splits its trunk. And when the storm passes, the tree is scarred, but it's still standing, and its roots have grown deeper into the earth, searching for stability. That's what pain does. It forces you to root yourself in something real, not in external validation, not in fleeting pleasures, but in your own strength, your own resilience, your own ability to endure. Peace doesn't require depth. You can coast through peaceful times without ever discovering what you're made of. But pain demands it. It asks, how much can you carry? How long can you hold on? How do you behave when everything falls apart? And in answering those questions, not with words, but with action, you discover a version of yourself you didn't know existed. A version that doesn't break easily. A version that knows how to sit with discomfort without collapsing. A version that understands suffering is part of being alive, not a sign that something's wrong. This strength isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's quiet, steady, unshakable. The kind of strength that only comes from surviving what you thought would destroy you. And once you have it, once you walked through fire and realized you're still here, fear loses its grip. Not all of it, but enough. Enough that you stop avoiding hard things. Enough that you stop running from discomfort. Enough that you start trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. Pain also teaches you something about time. That healing isn't linear. That some days are harder than others. That strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up. Again. And again. And again. Even when it feels pointless. Even when no one's watching. Even when you're tired. That persistence, that quiet refusal to give up, that's wisdom. That's character. That's what peace can never teach. Because peace doesn't require you to fight for it. The third lesson pain offers is the most profound. It forces you to confront what actually matters. Not what you thought mattered, not what society says matters, but what matters to you, in your bones when everything else is stripped away. When you're in pain, the trivial falls away. The petty concerns, the surface distractions, the things you stressed about that now seem absurd. You stop caring about impressing people who don't know you. You stop worrying about things you can't control. You stop chasing goals that don't align with who you really are. Pain has a way of cutting through the noise and showing you the signal. The few things that truly matter. Health, love, meaning, time, connection, purpose. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack up a mountain. At first, you packed everything. Things you thought you'd need, things that seemed important. But as the climb gets harder, as your body tires, as every step becomes an effort, you start removing weight. You drop what's unnecessary, what's slowing you down, what's not essential. And by the time you reach the top, all you're carrying is what you actually need. Pain is that climb, and what remains after it is your truth. You realize how much you were spending energy on things that didn't feed your soul. Jobs that drained you, relationships that felt hollow, ambitions that belonged to someone else, habits that kept you numb. Pain burns all that away. Not because you choose to let it go, but because you can't hold on to it anymore. You don't have the strength. And in that forced release, you find freedom. You also discover who and what you'd protect with everything you have. When something hurts you deeply, you learn what you'd fight for, what you'd sacrifice for, what you'd rebuild your life around. And that knowledge is priceless.
Because now you're not living by default. You're not drifting. You're choosing intentionally, based on what you know in your core is real. Pain makes you grateful in a way peace never could. Not in a performative, post-it note kind of way, but in a deep, cellular way. When you felt the absence of something, you treasure its presence differently. When you've known real darkness, you appreciate the light. When you've been broken, you value being whole. This isn't toxic positivity. It's not pretending pain was good. It's recognizing that pain gave you perspective. It taught you not to take for granted the things that actually matter.
And here's the paradox. Pain makes you softer and stronger at the same time. Softer because you understand suffering now. You see it in others. You recognize it. And you respond with compassion instead of judgment. You stop being harsh because you know how hard life can be. But stronger because you've survived. You've walked through what felt impossible and come out the other side. And that combination, that soft strength, that empathetic resilience, that's wisdom. That's what pain builds. That's what peace, as beautiful as it is, can never create on its own. So no, pain isn't something to celebrate. It's not a gift you asked for. It's not a lesson you wanted. But it is a teacher, a harsh one, an unforgiving one, but a teacher nonetheless. And if you let it, if you don't numb it or avoid it or pretend it isn't there, it will carve wisdom into you that nothing else could. It will show you who you are. It will show you what you're capable of. It will show you what matters. And when it finally passes, when the worst is over and you can breathe again, you won't be the same person who entered it. You'll be deeper, clearer, wiser. Peace is beautiful. It's necessary. It's something to cherish when it comes. But peace doesn't shape you. Pain does. Peace doesn't reveal you. Pain does. And while no one should seek pain, while everyone deserves rest and ease and joy, the truth remains, the people who understand life most deeply are the ones who felt it most painfully. The wisdom you carry now, the parts of you that are unshakable, didn't come from the easy days. They came from the days you barely survived. And that's not something to regret. That's something to honor. Pain made you wiser, not because it was kind, but because it was real.